I'm here with Joe Bobier, who's the CTO and president of XG Technology Incorporated. And Joe was just telling me a little bit about the base station technology using 900 megahertz. Could you go into that, Joe, for us, please?
As I was saying, the 900 megahertz band, especially in an urban environment, you could think of it as a really rough neighborhood. There's a lot of interference. There are frequency hoppers, or video surveillance systems, there are cordless phones, baby monitors, you name it. You have to deal with that, and what we did is we started with a blank piece of paper, and we designed an entirely new paradigm for how it is we're going to work in this environment and guarantee that the system is functional, good quality of service, good range, all the things that you wouldn't normally sort of expect in a shared work environment, shared channel. So we designed a base station using the 902 to 928 megahertz band. We divided that up into 18 channels, about 1.44 megahertz wide each. And then each of those 18 channels has 14 pairs of time slots for 14 individual phone calls, plus a few other time slots for housekeeping. And then we designed a MAC layer that is able to very, very rapidly go from one channel to another, or one sector to another, or one cell to another, and constantly, proactively be pre-registered on the next place that the MAC layer thinks it may need to go, and so that it can literally switch 33 times per second to different cells, different sectors, different channels, wherever it needs to go. If there's no problem at all with the channel, it'll simply sit there and you'll have your phone conversation. But if you're driving around and multipath and all those nasty things that happen in a mobile environment occur, it'll very, very quickly react, and what you'll have is an instantaneous, seamless handoff, and you'll never know it happened. So the system, you might say, is always proactively identifying its environment, making plans to get away from potential interference, and then making the move instantly.
That's great. Now, you had a compelling answer to a question I asked. I'd like to re-ask if that's okay. And
Okay.
Regarding the amount of time, the technology has been announced for a few years, and the question I had was, it took a little bit longer than some expected. Are there reasons? And could you go into that just briefly?
Well, my answer was that we started from the ground up. We designed handsets, we designed base stations, we designed mobile switching center and all the networking infrastructure, wrote all of the software, and essentially designed an entirely new way of doing a mobile cellular system from the ground up. With today's number of employees, we have 50 engineers, and average number of engineers has been about 30 over the last 2 or 3 years. So I guess it took 2 or 3 years longer than I expected it to take to build an entirely new system.
It's an entirely unique ecosystem using unlicensed spectrum that is flexible enough to jump on different frequencies as well.
It's entirely new in almost every regard. Everything you look at in terms of the SIP compression and the interference mitigation, and literally everything all the way through it, the system is designed specifically for guaranteeing no latency, jitter, constant 30 milliseconds latency. It doesn't matter how many phones you load onto the system. And even the fact that a base station, which can carry 200 or 300 simultaneous phone calls, can still accept up to 10,000 registrations of phones that may be passing by, that are sort of making a reservation in case they need to jump. And the whole thing is designed to be sort of instantaneously flexible and always avoid problems.
Thank you.
Sure.